Hi everyone, I'm Kate Ferdinand and this is the Blended Podcast. We are a few episodes in now and we are loving it. I've got two amazing co-hosts, Cilla and Nathalie, and we talk about everything to do with a blended family. We're hoping to have real, raw, honest, deep, you name it. We're having those chats here about blended families. And the hope is that you feel understood and less alone in what you're going through. And today we're going to talk about parenting children that aren't biologically yours. So I came in as a childfree stepmum. We've all got a slightly different experience here. Cilla, if you don't mind me saying, you were a single mum, and Nathalie, a straight to a stepmum. Yeah. So we've all got a kind of a different view and a different experience of what's gone on. I came as a stepmum to 3 children with no biological kids of my own. And it was really tough, actually. And I think I underestimated how hard it would be. Don't get me wrong, I wanted to love the children so much. I wanted them to love me. I think because I loved Rio, I just didn't see it working any other way. But I think it's like getting to know 3 new people.
Yeah.
And
that's exactly it.
Yeah. And also my life kind of changed overnight because I became a full-time stepmum because the children had lost their mum. And my whole life did change, and getting to know yourself in a new role without being pregnant and going straight from carefree, partying, getting in, doing what I want, not having to cook dinner, to all of a sudden all this responsibility.
Yeah.
Although I wanted it, I didn't realise how intense it was until I was in it.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know how you ladies feel, we can expect a lot of stepmums. And especially because I hadn't had any biological children, I felt there was a lot of pressure on me. And Rebecca had passed away. Obviously, she's an amazing mum, but I think that it added more pressure.
Yeah.
And I felt this needs to be perfect.
Yeah.
And I have to get this right because everyone's going to think I'm terrible. And if I don't, and I think I started over wanting to do absolutely everything to prove that, I haven't had my own kids, but I am capable.
Yeah,
I know what I'm doing. I can do this.
Yeah.
I can do this.
I'm good at this.
I'm good at this.
Yeah.
Whereas actually, now I look back, I just think I was just a bit trying to please too much.
Yeah, doing too
Whereas
much.
really, being a biological parent now, I can't do it.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
But I felt the pressure back then.
And it's okay to say that when you're a biological parent, but when you're a step parent, what do you mean can't do it? You signed up for it.
You can't,
What do you mean you can't
into?
do it? Yeah, it's easy. You're not the first stepmom in the world.
Or you can't do it because you're not a mum.
Yeah,
because
you don't
haven't
understand because you haven't had kids.
You haven't carried a child.
Yeah.
So because there's even that there's a thing in that, right? In like the sacrifice and the hardship that women experience in carrying a child, almost like that prepares you. That's like the entry point for the parenting. And I feel in my mind, there's like a connection between, you can't just do that because you haven't done that part.
Yeah, like you can't jump a level.
It makes no sense.
It doesn't.
But it's still a connection that I have like reasoned with in my own brain.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what? Yeah, I'm not going to ask you nothing, don't worry. But I feel like, obviously, if you guys want to hear that topic, we should really get into like a topic of like resentment that comes from being a stepmom. That's going to be like a brave conversation, so that might not be for a while. But I just feel like when you first become a stepmom, it's such a breeding ground for resentment. And I can say that because obviously when I came into my blended family, I was already a single mum, and that breeds resentment as well because for me, I was the only parent, so I didn't have a co-parent. And also coming into a blended family, I had to learn what co-parenting looked like, and it didn't look good from what I could see coming into it. And then I had to learn how to co-parent with my husband as a stepfather to my daughter. So that learning curve was steep. But yeah, I think for me, this argument about you as a stepmom, you don't understand because you don't have kids. I understand where it comes from. I just don't think it holds as much water as people think, because I was a mum and I could not anticipate how hard it would be to become a stepmom. Like the things that I had to learn, the things that came at me, the conflict, the biting your tongue, the overcompensating, like all of that. I don't think anything could have prepared me for that. And also I think for some stepmoms, it's either going to be like a difficulty around the children or difficulty around the adults. And for me, there was no real difficulty around the children, not because I had a child, but because, I don't know, our children were really easygoing. But my difficulty came from like the co-parenting party and the adults and the extended family. That's where my hardship came from. So it's like, did it matter that I already had a child? It didn't matter at all. It was still hard. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think there's so many different angles to this. There's like our feelings. When we're called stepmum, what is our label as these kind of roles within children's lives? How we feel as women and how the phrases is in, because I used to call myself a childless stepmum. Now, I know there's so many particular phrases to use. I feel like there's so much to discuss here, but I don't know where to start.
I would love to get into the language, which you're, as a professional in this space, you explain really well. Childless, child-free, etc.
So child-free is an option.
Yeah.
So I've chosen not to have babies for whatever reason. And I present myself as this woman, like, or this caretaker, right? Whereas childless implies that you're either trying and you're struggling, or you're on your journey to conceive. And it just probably is hard. Like you're working towards that. So the implication is you want babies and the child-free one doesn't. That's it most simply.
Something that I really struggle with as we're talking about, trying to conceive, and it was already being a stepmum with children, but never have experienced having my own children. So then when I fell pregnant, everything was new. And I kind of had this like inner fight with myself, like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm already kind of a mum, and what's my positioning? And Rio's going to know what he's doing. And I've never changed a nappy in my life. And kind of learning to be a mum to a baby whilst already mothering older children. And the kind of guilt, the pressure that I put on myself to know what I was doing, even though I only met the kids from 6 onwards. Yeah. Because I just feel like, I don't know.
Yeah. Do you know what? This is why this podcast is so important, and why what you write about, what you speak about is so important, because there is no blueprint. There's no like reference point for women. I'm already a mum. I'm already doing that. Don't have biological children. Now carrying a biological child. It's like, at least in this space now, if anyone's listening and they can hear that you have been through this, there's like, oh, the feelings that I'm feeling, what I'm experiencing, it's not off key. It's not weird. This is really natural.
Yeah. I think it's normal to feel confused and conflicted.
Yeah.
So on the childless and child-free, like as you were talking about that, even though I asked you to explain the language, like why do we always have to explain ourselves? Like I've had so many uncomfortable conversations at dinner tables, right? Where people feel that my ovaries and my womb is their business and something to just have a conversation about over dinner. So then I start talking about my fertility issues and my periods, they're so heavy. I go through multiple pads like over dinner. And I've actually done this like just out of spite, to be like, okay, you want to open up this can of worms? Let's talk about my blood clots. But it's really... it really just triggered something in me. And I obviously haven't processed it because it was just now, but there's something about having to explain even to that minutiae, like, okay, I'm childless, I'm child-free because it's a choice, I'm childless because I'm trying. Like, why do we need to explain to people I'm having IVF? I just don't have children. Do you know what I mean?
And I think people naturally, sorry to interrupt you, naturally think, I don't know, I think it's what we've been taught at school.
Yeah.
You go to school, you get married, you have kids.
That's it. That's
not even what we were taught. And I think that is why it's confusing becoming a stepmom as well, because that's not what you didn't used to read in the books.
No.
You get married, then you have kids.
Yeah.
So even now, you, for whatever reason, haven't got your own biological children. Yeah. But people think, but that's not part of the step.
Exactly.
It's like we're having to retrain ourselves the way we've been taught. And also then explain that to our children in a different way as well.
Yeah, explaining it to children, like with Cameron, he's old enough to get it. And have we had a direct? I don't think we've actually had a direct conversation with Cameron about this, but from my perspective, so I'm 40 now, don't have children, so I've just spoken about not having to explain myself, but now I'm going to explain myself, but to my community, right? To my community, thank you.
Because you choose to.
Because I'm choosing to, right? And we're going to learn, right? So my situation is that I have a condition called adenomyosis, and I've had surgery. I've had this condition for 15 years now plus, and really difficult to conceive with this condition, especially how it is presenting with me. And also I've been told by doctors that if I do fall pregnant, that my uterus might not expand. So I'm at really high risk of having a miscarriage. It's really hard for me to talk about this. But I've taken the decision, and my husband's really supportive, that I'm not going to put myself through that. So I spent 15 years basically being really chronically ill and really struggling just like to live a full life. And I'm like, as I'm getting into my autumn season, and I've, over the years, through changing my diet, through exercise, through mindfulness, through, like, I have tried everything. I've gone on silent meditation retreats. I've done everything that you can imagine, right? And I feel like I've got to a point, thank you. I feel like I've got to a point in my journey and in my healing. I'm living my life in the most, like, this is the happiest season of my life with my husband Sace. It's beautiful. And with Cameron, I'm like, I don't want to go back into the unknown. Like, almost I don't trust my body. And we just made a decision. We're just going to enjoy the autumn of our lives and not spend that time fighting fertility issues and potentially having multiple miscarriages. I don't think I could actually mentally cope with it.
Oh my God.
So when I buck you in the street and you say to me, oh, what, you haven't got kids? Oh, it will come. Don't worry. Don't say that. Please don't say that, because first of all, it's none of your business. And secondly, it's a choice that we've made. And I just wish people could be like a little bit more conscious of women's bodies and fertility and children, not just being a passing conversation. It's so insensitive.
Yeah, I do think we go through this phase, I especially of like over-explaining, but I think touching on your point of having fertility issues, it's so difficult when you are a stepmom already. Because it's like this pressure, this kind of family already exists, and sometimes you can already feel on the outside of it as a step-parent. So like I kind of felt on the outside, and I felt like my biological kids kind of tied us together. And when sometimes you can't create those children, and not through choice, through not being able to, it can just put so much more pressure on you as a step parent, I think.
I feel that for me, that's not my experience, because we are, what has really bonded us actually is like faith as well. Like we share, we all revert. So my husband and I took Shahada in 2023, and Cameron took Shahada last year. So we're all Muslims and we share that faith together. And it's like we're bonded by our love and our faith. And I don't feel like I have to, maybe because my husband's so supportive as well, and call us selfish. Like, some people generally have a negative reaction to me saying, no, I have made the choice not to push that fertility journey. Like, literally, I've like literally argued with people. No, but you've got to try. I'm like, I don't have to try. I don't have to sacrifice my body. I don't have to sacrifice my mental health. I don't have to sacrifice my marriage. Me and my husband have decided that we are going to enjoy our autumn. We want to travel the world. We want to pour into each other. We have so many ambitions with like community stuff. My husband runs a charity like for young people, supporting young people. And like, there's just so much more for us than that. maybe if he didn't have kids, then this would be a very, like, if he didn't have Cameron, this could possibly be a very different conversation.
Yeah.
But I'm happy with what we have. That's our unit. That's our family. Love underpins us. That's what unites us, is love, you know? There are households with biological children and there's no love there, you know? And
I'm so glad that you're here and you're speaking from this point of view, which is so, so rare, because I think there is this idea, like what you said, Kate, about you get married and then you have children. And even I was saying to you earlier that me having a child and him having children is not enough to call us a family. We have to have what we call in the community ours babies. So ours babies is essentially when the stepmom has a child with her now partner. And I feel like a lot of people put a lot of emphasis on ours babies as well, because it's like this one baby or how many ours babies you have is the child that ties everyone together. This child has a piece of absolutely everyone, where before we might have felt a bit fragmented and we had to like build our bond in other ways. And even like you say, like biology doesn't always equate to love and protection. So I just think it's like these knee-jerk or these preconceptions that we have, even in blended families, that need to be challenged or spoken about more. And even the kind of child-free, childless title, like the child-free,
Can I just stop you for a minute? Because I actually, like, everyone's got a different experience, but what you're saying, that kind of, I don't know what the word was, the ours baby. I actually agree with that though. I do believe
it ties everyone together.
I do believe that. Like, I have that experience. So I have the experience of having Cree and Shay and feeling like we're now all connected. And I now feel
a common feeling.
I now feel like I'm a full part of the family. Whereas before I kind of had this feeling of like looking in. And I felt like it a lot of the time, but sometimes I felt like I was looking in on this other family.
Yeah.
And now I've never heard the saying ours baby, but actually that for me, that has brought us all together.
Yeah, because
and we are now a family.
All of ours.
Yes.
Yeah. But I think that's what drives a lot of women or stepmoms to go down the fertility journey. Like, I'm going to try IVF. I'm going to try like these treatments. I'm going to do cleanses, whatever I need to do, because I really feel like this child is going to really, you know, perfect our family and make our family whole. And if we go on to have more, fine. If we don't, fine. But like, there's a piece of all of us here now, and we are tied together. So I think that is a motivation. And also the title childless is meant to bring empathy. So it's like, I don't have to understand while you're childless, but I have an idea that you want to be a mum, and for whatever reason you're not right now. So I can leave it there. And then the child-free title is meant to be like a term of empowerment, because what you've just explained is something that I hadn't even considered. Like, to get to a place where you've decided, I'm not going to push fertility because it hasn't come naturally or easily rather for me, is not something I would have considered. Because when someone says child-free, you equate them to the carefree woman
like
that wants to hold on to her lifestyle, or she's a business babe, like, so she's not the maternal type, or she's like, my stepchildren are enough, I don't want to give birth or carry a child. It's meant to be empowerment. So like, you know, just because you're a woman and you happen to be a wife or a partner doesn't automatically mean you have to be this, you know, nesting, maternal, I want to be a mother kind of woman.
But
sorry. I was just going to say, the thing is though, I do have that maternal feeling.
Yeah.
For me, and that's why I got upset, because there is still a sadness there. It's still a loss to me. But I have had to weigh up whether that is an experience that I'm willing to have, and whether that's how I want to spend the next 2, 3, 5, 7 years of my life. And I'm 40. So on top of all of the issues, there's also the age thing that I'm having to battle against. So it is a choice, it is empowering, but it's like two things can be true at the same time.
Exactly.
It's a choice and it's empowering.
And I don't think that's obvious at all.
And also, like, when we talk about the children connecting, a part of me feels like I totally get it. Like, I totally understand. Everybody shares DNA in this household. Like, we're all blood related.
Do you know, I don't even think it's about the blood relation. I think that we've experienced something together.
Yeah.
So it's not that my blood's in Korean, so is Ria's, and then we're all joined.
Yeah.
It's more like we've all gone on this journey together, and it makes us have something.
Yeah.
Because I feel like prior to that, there's not always those shared experiences. It's like, I don't know, it's like the lives coming together.
Yeah. But it's like because we've spoken about potentially adopting in the future. If I adopted a child, like, that child would be our child and part of the family. There would be
fullness.
I would dread to think of, like, adopting a child. I'm not saying it's what's going to happen, but I would dread to think of, like, adopting a child and any part of me being like, well, you're not quite. So what, the child's not quite part of this family, the adopted child, and I'm not quite part of this family because Cameron and Sace are blood related. I feel like family is what you make family, and you do that through love, or you make a home and a household and connection,
and that's what
through love, because there are
is.
Biological families that are
loveless.
No, I do agree with what you're saying, and I think that is right within the house.
Yeah,
you can feel like that.
Yeah,
but I feel like sometimes it's people from outside that don't think that.
People.
But I think that's a big point, because you might not care about people like that from the outside.
Build up
but
to that.
Step parents and family members are affected by outside influence.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of time you're comfortable within your four walls with your situation, whether you've got biological children or not, and you feel comfortable in your roles.
Yeah.
It's when outside noise comes in and changes that can affect the dynamic.
Yeah.
And it's like everyone outside needs to be comfortable with your decision and your role. And that's where the issue lays for me.
Yeah.
It's like you could be happy being a stepmom and happy, with whatever way it is, discipline and doing this. But if people are outside unhappy and they're pushing that pressure on you, that can change your feeling if you're not strong enough. And and it can change, I don't feel like part of the family. No one will take me in this role.
Yeah.
So it's not always, I don't think it's actually about the blood. I think it can
be, but it can be about what you're saying.
It's more about the pressures of outside and how you're made to feel.
Yeah.
But you're touching on something. So you're talking about experiences and how other people make you feel, but also there's the experience just for the stepmom and feeling like I've missed out on all the firsts. Yeah, so you touched on it earlier.
That's a big one.
But I want to take us a bit deeper. So, for example, your husband or your partner that has had children before you, it's like, okay, this is the first time I'm pregnant. And first time I felt a kick in utero, and you're going for all of these like scans and stuff like this. This is all new and it's exciting. But at the back of the stepmom's head, she's thinking, but my husband's already been through this. He knows what to expect, kind of thing. And then you kind of feel like, oh, I'm by myself again. Like I'm still not experiencing this thing with somebody else or with my partner or with the stepchildren, because they've all experienced this before, or they have some type of idea of what it is. So there is that kind of like sadness there as well until the baby actually comes.
I felt exactly like this, and but I think it was all in my own head as well. I felt a bit like the baby would kick, and Rhea would be like, oh, and I'd be like, you don't care because you felt 3 babies kick?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, babe. But I then added to that kind of idea of it. And when I was pregnant with Creed, did feel weirdly alone, but I think it's my own thoughts taken over and my own insecurities. Am I going to be a good enough mum? He's done this. I'm not going to know what I'm doing. Oh, am I doing it how, like all of these questions, hormones are all over the place.
Yeah.
And like you said, until the baby was born, even that I was nervous about.
Yeah, of course.
I was nervous about giving birth because Rio's, not about pushing the baby out, more about Rio's already done this before 3 times. What I don't know what I'm doing.
So what I always say to my clients from early is that your partner is always going to experience these things that you think is normal or done for the first time with you. So my husband is completely different with me than he was before. And so the way he is around pregnancy, the way he is around the newborn stage and all of this is completely different because I make him smile differently. I make him laugh differently. I make him angry differently. Do you understand? He wants to do things for me based on my personality, based on my likes. So you're never like, without dismissing the family that your partner built before you, with all due respect, he's never going to be the same. So the woman before, even like the family members, but even the children before the stepmom is meeting a new evolved version because he's going to be different with you. So it's going to be the first time with you.
I love that.
All the time.
I think it's about changing the way we look at things, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's like there's two views. There's the kind of insecure, nervous, not feeling good enough you. And then there's the way that you can look at it from a completely different perspective.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important.
And this is what this conversation is going to do.
And what I also want to say when you were saying that is, I've had 2 biological children. By the time I had my second one, I forgot everything that I'd done with the first one. And I forgot how to do it.
Right.
I forgot about what you do, at what age you're doing what.
Yeah.
I remember feeding Shay in hospital thinking, I can't remember how to do this.
Yeah.
So I think we put this, I know it's bad to admit, isn't it? But it's true.
Yeah.
We put this pressure on and say, he's done it all. He bloody probably can't remember
forgot.
anyway.
Yeah.
Because I can't remember.
Yeah.
So it's like, we need to take the pressure off.
Give ourselves so
whatever
much
situation
grace.
we are in, we're all sitting here as women in different situation with different experiences.
Yeah.
And each one of us has expressed that we need to take the pressure off.
Yeah.
That is it.
And I think that's the main thing.
And I think with Nathalie as well, which is what I'm really inspired by and what I want like other women listening to this to feel inspired by is like, I have no idea how hard it would have been, but you accepted your reality and said, okay, what can I do with it now?
Yeah.
Like, how do I move forward with what it is? And I'm a massive, like, you will hear me say all the time, like, take stock of your reality. This is what it is now. What are we going to do about it?
Yeah.
How are we going to move forward? Kind of, we're not going to be stuck. I'm not saying that it wasn't hard. I'm not saying it didn't take a long time, but I love the fact that you took control. You took it back. Like, this isn't a situation that was throwing you to and fro. You found some type of solid ground and you stood.
Yeah.
And then you directed everything around you. Our stepmoms need to find a way, like whether it's a coach, a therapist, a group, you're going to hear me say that as well. The podcast. And you're always going to bring me back to the podcast.
Like,
you're going to hear us say it all the time. We need to find a way to stand our ground quickly and accept our reality just so we can find ourselves quickly and then say, all right, this is how everything's going to orbit around my house.
And once we accept our reality, it's easier to deal with it.
Absolutely.
For sure.
But I think with you, especially Nats, it's like people are questioning you, but they don't know, because you say, yes, you know, we're not having children.
Yeah.
And you have to explain yourself. They think because you've said it quick, that you've come to that conclusion quickly.
Yeah,
Flippantly.
I generally say we don't have children. No, we don't have children. I have a stepson, but we don't have children together.
But you know what? Let's go into this. Sorry.
Yeah.
The we don't have children,
yes, you do.
the awkwardness
It's so
around
awkward.
how you describe your biological children and your stepchildren.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a mess.
Because sometimes you want the ground to swallow you up. I know you feel, if you've said it once already,
Yeah.
we all feel this.
Yeah.
Like the feeling of being too scared to say there are children.
Yeah.
I do say, Lorenz, Tate and Tia, I say I've got 5 children.
Yeah.
2 of them are obviously biologically mine. I'm just explaining this now.
Yeah.
2 are biologically mine and 3 are my stepchildren.
Yeah.
If anyone asks me, I've got 5 children.
Simple.
Yeah.
Then
That's all you
we
need
might
to
be on
know.
holiday and I'm bikini and people go,
You've had
"You've had
5
children!
Oh my gosh!
You look incredible!"
And
And
then
I'm
you're like, wait a minute.
and it's like, do I tell them now or do I just pretend that I've had 5
Like, yes,
kids?
I've had kids. Am I a liar?
Did you hear the conversation earlier? And I was like, oh, I bought my son's girlfriend some makeup, and she was like, how old's your son's girlfriend? I was like, how's your son? I said, oh, well, this is my stepson. He's 18. they were like, how old are you? Because they couldn't reconcile.
Equate, yes.
Apparently,
You're young.
You're young, honey.
Right?
But it's like
But it's that whole explaining is so uncomfortable.
Or if you
I don't think it
choose
will
to.
ever.
And also, I think for me, it's like, I'm happy to say my children, and then I'm just going to, I don't know, do I then say, oh, no, it's 3 of them aren't
These
mine?
2 are my room babies and these 3 are
Or do
my
you just let it
babies.
slide
Yeah.
and feel awkward? I think we got to a situation with the kids, and it's like, you might be in a restaurant and someone go, oh, ask mum if you're allowed this. And we just come to a decision that we're just not going to recorrect people.
Yeah.
Because actually, it's too
Your
awkward in
business.
that moment.
And it's
Yeah.
none of
We
your
all know the
business.
situation.
Yeah.
But I think it's more when you're talking about outside, external people. And then I'm always worried about upsetting people. I'm obviously not the children's mum. They've got an
Yes.
amazing mum who's unfortunately passed away, and I don't want to overstep the mark.
Yeah. You two
However,
know how I feel about this anyway.
I'm not their mum,
Yeah.
but I
But
do
you
see
are
them as my
mum.
children.
Yeah.
So
I'm
that
not-
doesn't really
I'm
make
not
sense.
your mum, but you're my son.
Yes.
Yeah, because I feel like it is such a disrespect to his mother to like claim him as my. I didn't birth you. I didn't carry you. You are not my biological son. When he's on the phone to his mates and he's like, I'm with my stepmom because I'm your stepmom. I'm not your mum. It doesn't say I'm with my mum. Do you know what I mean?
But he is your son.
But he is my son.
So that is really confusing.
It
And
is.
people that haven't got stepchildren sometimes can't understand that.
Also, can I just interject real quick here as well? There are adult stepchildren that will say when they were younger, they felt really othered. They felt really left out because they'll be out with their family and they're like, yeah, these are my children. This is my stepchild. It's like, hello, like, am I not a part? Why are you singling me out? Why have you labeled me something other than your child? Yeah. So that's one perspective. Some kids don't like it. They're like, no, like, especially those children who elect to call their stepmom's mum. Because some of them do. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a mum. I was a single mum first. I understand. Ouch. Like, you're calling somebody else mum. That's like a coveted name for me.
Yeah.
That is my badge of honor.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone else should share that. However, if a child is saying to their stepmom, mum, I do feel like if you feel so strongly that you're dishonoring the biological mum, that's fine. I'm not going to argue with you. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I do feel like it's fair and fine to say, okay, let's work out a name of endearment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
how
And then
does-
I can be that to you.
I feel like it's cold if the child's like mum and you're like stepchild.
Yeah,
right.
That's
And I
kind
think-
of giving
yeah.
evil
It
stepmother.
is.
And it's
That's
about
giving evil
what does the
stepmother.
child want? So when
versus what does
What
the
do-
extended family
what do I
members
want?
feel comfortable
Yeah.
with.
sometimes it's like, I think when one of the children were little, Tia, she won't mind me saying, she went for a little stage of calling me mum.
Yeah.
And because she doesn't remember calling her mum. She was so
Yeah.
little when she
Yeah.
passed away. And a lot of people are like, but you're not her mum. And I'm like, I know I'm not. And we all sat and we had a conversation. I said, I don't think this is going to last forever. I think she's going for a phase. And if that makes her happy right now, let's just go with it.
How can we correct
Yeah.
her?
Yeah.
But it was funny because she'd be shouting, mum, I'm just blanking her. Because I don't realise that she's talking to me. She's like,
Yeah.
mum. I'm just about my business. Then she's like, mum. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah,
They're
it's
talking
you.
to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, I would
Wow.
take that as she doesn't do that now. She calls me Kate or a stepmum, or she says I'm like a mum to her,
Yeah.
but we're aware of her mum and
Yeah.
me. But I think at that time, that's what she needed.
Yeah.
And I'd take myself out of that.
Yeah.
It's
And
hard,
I think it's
isn't it?
okay. And I think it's okay to be honest with children and say, you call me mummy. I love that. I love that you feel so bonded and so close to me. But we don't want to upset real mummy,
Yeah.
like biological mummy. So let's think of a name that, will be special to us. And then you're going to call me that kind of thing.
That's
And I
really
love that.
sweet.
I think
Yeah.
just so we're also catering to the children. Now, obviously, I'm not saying... I know there's some people that will be like, okay, this is your new mum. Obviously, you got your mum in another house, but this is your mum in this house. And you're imposing that
I don't
on the
agree with
children.
that.
No.
That's horrible.
No.
You don't do that, yeah? But as for the adult, yeah, when I'm out and about, these are my children.
Yes.
I haven't got time for whatever you want to try and understand or not understand. I'm not trying to disrespect their mum, not at all. But when the children are in my house, when we're out and about as a unit, these are... Everyone that you see here, they're my children. Do you understand? But obviously, I'm not going to jump on a podcast or be interviewed by someone, like you will hear me refer to my stepsons as my sons, you will, but I'm not going to sit here and say I am their mum.
No.
Yeah, I think that's the
Never.
thing.
Yeah.
And I think we are not saying we're their mum, but they are our children.
Yeah.
But I do think we have to have a little minute to realise that it will be hard for extended family.
Yeah.
Like it's hard
And that's fine.
for people to hear you call the children your children
That's
when
fine.
you're not
We all have to
their
cope.
mum. So I think I try and look at it from all perspectives. But the thing that I've come down, bottom line is, I want all of my children to feel the same.
Yeah.
I want them to have this same experience growing up, and I all want them to feel just as loved.
Yeah.
So that means that I'm going to call them all my children. I'm going to treat them all like they're my children.
Yeah.
And we're just going to
Although
roll with
that's
it. And they're
another
happy with it.
topic.
Do you know
Yeah.
what? This
I
is
know
why I'm
it.
so pleased that you guys are co-hosting with me, because I feel like we've all got such different experiences
Yeah.
Definitely.
And viewpoints.
And I think previously when I was hosting on my own, you can only kind of get my perspective.
Yeah.
So I'm so grateful, and Nat, for you being so open.
Yeah.
I think it'll be good to end on a takeaway. I think there's been loads.
Yeah, there's been
But,
loads.
but have we got anything, just a little bit of takeaway, anyone that's going through something similar
Yeah.
that can just help them?
Yeah. I think for me, my takeaway would be that your healing is your responsibility.
Love that.
And I think when you experience chronic illness for a long time, it's a really lonely place to be. And how you empower yourself is by taking control. And whether that means making the right decisions with your diet, with exercise, with sleep, with managing your energy, mindfulness, prayer, whatever that looks like to you, understanding that is your responsibility and taking control as much as you possibly can is so empowering.
I love that. And I think, because I'm just bouncing off of this, is that whatever situation you are in this blended family, no one is coming to save you.
No.
You have to save yourself.
Yeah.
So do the things you need to do to get your mind right and get you in the right place, because sometimes we just can be in it thinking that it will change one day, it will change, and it won't unless you put the work in.
Absolutely.
And you stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
That's it.
And
That's it.
you do what's right for you.
There is this expectation on women to sacrifice ourselves for motherhood, for children. Well, so what if there's a high risk of your uterus rupturing? Try. No.
Oh, that's another
Actually, no.
episode. Keep going to other episodes. Okay, we need time.
But actually, no, because it's my life and me and my husband have made this decision and this is what we are going to do. And it's almost like you got to be a little bit Teflon and let the opinions and the judgments of others just bounce off of you, because you know who's living nice? Me and my husband.
Yeah.
My house is loving and joyful and happy, and I'm healthy.
Love
And
that.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me, I'll just reiterate what I said earlier on, finding some way to stand your ground and just make everything orbit around your household. Like you don't orbit around other people's ideas, expectations. Like you don't keep shape shifting to fit other people's viewpoints. You don't. You need to find okay, what are my family values? What do I want my family to look like? Who do I say that I am? Who do I want to be? And how can I possibly achieve this? And then work that out. And then you stand in that. And then when somebody is coming to give you something different, actually, no, this is who I say I am. Actually, no, this is what our family values are. Actually, no, this is what our household looks like. And everyone's, like I said, everyone's got to learn how to cope. We all got to find a way to cope.
Yeah.
That's it.
Ladies, thank you. I don't think I need a takeaway because you two have absolutely covered it. Thank you so much. And that is today's episode. I really hope you've enjoyed the conversation. I feel like we've gone deep, and
thank you so much, Nathalie.
Thank you.
I've learned.
Yeah, we have, and I think you sharing and being vulnerable is going to help so many people.
Oh yeah, I know.
So thank you so much. Yeah. So thank you so much for listening. If you've got any questions that you want us to cover, please do send them into the Blended Instagram. And if you like this episode, please like, follow, and subscribe. And we'll be back next week. Bye-bye. Mwah.